Marty Whitman makes a very candid confession about a big mistake he made. First of all, how did you get him to make that confession? And tell us a little bit about that story.
I said to Marty, you know, you didn't really handle the financial crisis well, and not only didn't you handle the financial crisis well, but then the rebound afterwards, you didn't really handle that well. And I said, how come? Like, given the strength of your ideas, given how smart you are, given how robust your ideas are, I don't get why you didn't do better. And it was a question based on the fact that actually I knew a lot about Marty Whitman, and so I was able to ask him this kind of impertinent question that wasn't just impertinent. It was like I was wrestling with what on earth happened. And he happens to be a very honest and direct guy. And he said to me, you know, he said, as I got older and richer, I became lazier. And he said, I kind of took my eye off the ball. And he said, I owned housing-related stocks and insurance-related stocks going into the financial crisis in 2008. And he said, I kind of thought about selling, and I never got around to it. And it was an incredibly candid, honest admission. And to me, a really powerful reminder of just how difficult this profession is. You know, to be a great investor, you've got to be full on. And he was in his 80s at that point, if I remember rightly. And I think, you know, he was slowing down a bit, and he had been an extraordinary investor. And you know, he's a very brilliant man. He's written incredible books. And Bill Nygren, who's another very well-known investor, said to me that often great investors decide that they're going to slow down and they're going to semi-retire sort of as they get old. And he said it's always a disaster. He said, you know, it's such a difficult profession that he said there's no dimmer switch, was his phrase. He said either the light is fully on or it's fully off. You can't do it halfway. And I think that's the case in many professions. It's certainly the case in writing. It's so difficult. The craft is so difficult. The economics of the business is so difficult. Unless you're really determined, you know, you're unlikely to succeed at it. So I think it was a powerful reminder that you need to have this kind of intensity. And all of these people who've been very successful in the book, it's not an accident. They have tremendous drive and determination. And Whitman himself, you know, he'd started off in the 1920s. He said to me that his family was so poor that you had to think twice before you bought a pretzel for 1 cent or 2 cents, because his parents had a tiny one-person, two-person business where they provided the felt hats. And so, you know, he'd risen through incredible drive and determination and intelligence. And, you know, you need that to succeed in these professions.